Hey guys, what's up? We're going to be talking about headstands today. We're going to be deconstructing the various different mechanisms we need to be focusing on to access headstands safely. And I'm going to be showing you different progressions so that we can really start to build up into full Shavasana. That said, I will always recommend, disclaimer alert, working with a teacher when you're learning to do headstands, forearm stands, handstands, anything like that when you're starting out, just to make sure that you are keeping all of your alignment correct and safe. So this video is there for maybe intermediate, maybe advanced yogis who want to build on their existing headstand practice and to move away from kicking up against the wall. All of these different progressions can be done against the wall, they can be done without the wall. What I generally recommend is starting quite close to the wall and then over time moving away. We don't want to get too dependent on the wall, but I'm going to be right in the middle of the room. And regardless, make sure you're safe. If you've got any neck injuries, I will always recommend avoiding headstands. And let's have fun. The most important things to consider about a headstand from a kind of physical perspective is core strength, make sure your core stays engaged, and shoulder stability, making sure that your shoulders are pressing away from the mat. So we're not going to spend too much time firing these up in today's class, but I would really recommend you do this before. If you want to pause this video, make sure that your core and your shoulders are fired up. We'll do a couple of rounds of forearm plank, but other than that, I'm going to assume that you are pretty warmed up as it is. Start off in forearm plank. I like forearm plank because it's a really great way to think about shoulders and core. So we're going to engage both of those to move into it. In this forearm plank, we're going to interlace our fingers. So elbows on the mat about shoulder width. And then as you interlace your fingers, press down into the outer edges of your wrists. Walk your feet back. Shoulders stay above your elbows. Press down into the mat with your forearms, the outsides of them. Make sure you're not kind of sticking your butt in the air, so really thinking rather about drawing your shoulder blades away from each other and hollowing out through the front body so your tailbone almost is tilted down, kind of tucked under. Look to your hands for a moment, see if you can draw your lower ribs in towards each other a little bit more, firing up through your transverse abdominis. Take a deep breath in here. And lower your knees down as you breathe out. Take a few breaths just here. Feeling the warmth of your body, the power of your core. And even as you are sitting here, see if you can keep that idea of lower ribs knitting in towards the midline. One more breath just here, and we'll do another forearm plank. Slow breath in. Steady breath out. Let's come back to forearm plank. Elbows no wider than your shoulders. And press your heels back. Again, try and push your forearms into the mat so you're creating as much space between your shoulders and the floor as possible. And then, for a little variation, you're going to walk your feet in for a dolphin. Just about as far as feels comfortable. You're going to notice that you're going to want to drop your head and collapse into the shoulders, so instead press into your forearms. This is going to be very similar to what we're doing in headstands. It's a great way to figure this out in your body before we start moving upside down. Slowly lower down your knees. And this time we'll take child's pose. So resting your forehead down, knees can widen. And the hands can relax, maybe one hand on top of the other. 3 breaths. Let's get into it. Once again, we're going to interlace our fingers. Kind of interlacing your fingers, create a little bit of a nest almost. And before we bring our hands to the mat actually, You're going to bring your hands just to your head. Find this almost ridge part of your head. So again, just before we come down, we want our elbows not to be splayed out. We want to find some control and some stability, and to do this, elbows and these shoulders always feels like a much more controlled and stable foundation to be in. So let's take that down to the mat. Insert your fingers, just like in forearm plank. Again, we're going to set up so elbows are about shoulder width. And this time we're going to bring your head down in between your hands. And keep your fingers interlaced. Sometimes I prefer just placing one palm on top of the other. That can give a little bit more freedom. Just go with whatever feels most comfortable for you right now. And we don't want just to relax your head down really heavily, because as you do this, you'll notice that your shoulders just start to collapse. So press your forearms down, just again like in forearm plank or dolphin, until you can almost feel like you could slide a piece of paper underneath your head, because there's not much or any weight into it, because your forearms and your shoulders are strong instead. Let's tuck your toes under, lift your knees, and walk your feet in. Sometimes this is as far as you're going to want to go. So thinking about hips joined, so almost on top of your shoulders. Find your tiptoes, so you're walking as far as you can until your tiptoes are just on the mat, and then press into your forearms so your shoulders draw up and away from your ears. Now the choice here, you can lift one knee in and then the other. So we're not trying to hop up, we're almost floating up. Your butt will be drawing back a little bit, so you have a little bit of an arch in your lower back. This is just to compensate for the fact that your knees are further forward to keep you balanced. Press your elbows, press your forearms, and then when you feel ready, you can come back down. So just this idea of knees into chest can be such a great way to find balance without being so high up. Child's pose. Relax your hands back by your sides. Or again, on in front of you, see what feels good for you. Let's take a few steady, slow breaths here. When you feel ready, you can come up to kneeling. And we're actually going to do that again. So now you have a kind of basic idea of what we're going to be moving through. It should hopefully feel a little bit more organic this time. And if you want to press pause at any point, practice on your own. Again, if you want to use the wall, absolutely go for it. Just try and allow maybe 2 fist space between your hands, therefore your head and the wall. So that means you get a little bit more space to be able to lift it up. So again, just bring your hands to the mat. You can interlace your fingers or not. Elbows about shoulder width. Relax your head down. So your hands are just holding your head, and then press into your forearms. Feel that stable, feel that activation through your shoulders as a result. And at the same time, your head will lift just a fraction off the mat, just so we're not dumping all of our weight into it. And again, walk your feet in as you lift your knees. Bring one knee into your chest, hop the other foot in, and then lift it. When you feel like you got the balance, keep your shoulders active, forearms pressed down. Try to engage your core a little bit, even as your tailbone tilts back. You have to have so much core engagement. But try and find a little bit of stability nonetheless. Taking 2 more breaths here. And exhale, release. Take a few moments in child's pose or kneeling, whatever feels intuitive to you. So again, we're not kicking up. We're not doing this in an uncontrolled way. We're thinking about precision. And even if that means that your one foot is on the floor and the other knee is in towards your chest, that is awesome, because that's what's going to give you that progression. There's no rush to the finish line for any movement practice. And especially not yoga. If we have lost connection to the breath, and if we're letting our ego lead the way, then we're probably not practicing yoga. So if now you felt like you've had a little bit of balance, you found a bit of hang time with the knees into your chest, you feel pretty comfortable there, we can move into full headstand from here if that feels good for you. Again, use the wall or be near a wall if you want support. I'd always encourage people to use the wall when they're learning to do headstand at first. And again, find a teacher that will teach you inversions in a safe way. This video is here for you really so that you can practice these progressions on your own at home as a complement to working with a yoga teacher. All right, so we're going to do 2 different entries into Shirshasana. And by Shirshasana, we are just doing Shirshasana 1, I believe, where we're just keeping our hands like that. We're going to start by accessing it with straight legs. So once more, interlace your fingers or place one palm on top of the other, or one hand on top of the back of your other hand. Relax your head down. Elbows shoulder width, no wider. Press into your forearms, feel your shoulders engage. As you do this, feel your head lift, even just like the fraction of a millimeter away from the mat. Then lift up your knees as you tuck your toes under. And walk your feet in as high as you can, so you can lift your hips high as you can. Keep the shoulders engaged. Lift one leg up, until the other leg feels completely weightless. And then slowly start to draw the other leg up too. Try and hug your inner ankles together once your feet meet. Press your heels up towards the ceiling. Engage your core, lower ribs drawing towards each other. And keep your forearms pressing down so your head is almost weightless. You have a little bit of movement here, that is a good thing. That means your body is working to keep you stable. It's all part of it, all balance should be dynamic. And when you feel ready, go ahead and make your way down. So again, we are not kicking as we do this. We're lifting one leg up, gently, almost tiptoe hopping the other leg further in until it gets so weightless that we can just float it up without kicking. If you want to hit rewind and go over that again, if you want to press pause, again, go for it. And then for the final headstand progression, which is the most controlled one, in my opinion, we're going to go from knees to chest and slowly extend the legs all the way up. So again, we're not trying to rush this. We're staying intentional, we're staying controlled, constantly thinking about the core engagement, the shoulder engagement. Let's do this. Take a deep inhale. So let's do this. Interlace your fingers, place one hand on top of the other, whatever feels good. And allow the elbows to be about shoulder width. Relax your head back down. You know the drill, guys. Press down into your forearms, feel your head lift, feel your shoulders engage. Tuck your toes, lift your knees. Going, first of all, as I said, into the knees to chest. So tiptoe your feet in as far as you can. One knee lifts, other knee lifts. Find your shoulders. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Press the elbows, forearms down. Squeeze in the ankles, squeeze in the thighs together. And then how slowly can you straighten your legs all the way up. Keep squeezing. Engage your core, pull your lower ribs in towards each other. Press heels to the sky. Press forearms to the earth. Breathe. When you feel ready, slowly lower one foot down. And then the other foot will land. Child's pose if that feels good. Kneeling if that feels better. Take a moment to come back to your breath. So that's it, guys. Those are my favorite ways to access headstand, again with control. So letting go of this idea that we want to kick up, and instead let's sink knees into chest or straight legs, but either way, keeping all of the core engaged, keeping the shoulders engaged, all this engagement through the upper body, so legs float up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to hit like if you did, leave me a comment or hit subscribe. I'm going to have a headstand video coming up in a few days, where it'll be more like a flow class where we're incorporating some headstands. So don't miss out, hit subscribe if you want to see that. Have an amazing day, yogis. Thank you so much.